The 7 Secrets to Irresistible Meetings. So this is going to take some of the topics from my book, Exploiting Chaos, but instead we're going to apply it entirely to your world, and hopefully you'll get some new ideas on how to take things to the next level. Because as MPI puts it, when we meet, we change the world. So that's why I wanted to make a topic especially for you, and again, it's the 7 Secrets to Irresistible Meetings. It all begins in 1929 with your grandpa, 1920s actually. When your grandpa silenced the piercing sound of his wind-up alarm clock, there was only one thing he savored, and that was the delicious taste of Post grape nuts. Post dominated the cereal world, and in fact, if we look at this ad, we can find out why. Men who command great enterprises first master themselves. For food and drink largely defines character. Grape nuts is a master food for thinkers. The cereal continued to rise all the way up to 1929 when something happened, a little thing called the Great Depression. As the managers of Post curled up in their rawhide chairs bracing for an unstable economy, they cut their ad budgets, not realizing all along that a hungry tiger lurked amongst them. That tiger, and I put him on there, is Tony the Tiger. Now, Tony wasn't born just yet, but the hungry spirit was alive in none other than the man himself, Will Keith Kellogg. A good-looking man, ladies. Also, a man who knew that change equals opportunity. Because in times of economic uncertainty, times like now, people still buy things, but what they buy changes. They start to think about their patterns and what's important. They try new alternatives. They try new meetings, everything. In the Kellogg's case, they decided to double their budget. They doubled ad spending. And by the end of that period in the 1940s, when your grandpa silenced the piercing sound of that wind-up alarm clock, he was no longer reaching for Post grape nuts, but instead for Kellogg's toasted cornflakes. Kellogg's is but one example, and there are many companies that were actually even founded in periods of economic uncertainty. Disney, CNN, MTV, Hyatt, Burger King, Electronic Arts, Fortune, GE, Hewlett-Packard, Apple. Many of the icons that we cherish were all founded during periods of actually economic downturn. And the reason is that chaos creates opportunity. So how do you take advantage of that? When people are choosing, how do you make them choose you? Well, this is going to bring us to our first secret. And that is that you don't need people to go to more meetings. You just need them to go to your meeting. So let's dive into it, though. If you want people to choose you, there's actually a lot of stuff going on in the world. The point is that there's a lot of noise out there. So how do you make your message? How do you make what you're selling break through all the noise? Well, that's where I come into play. As one slide background on me, I am the guy that founded TrendHunter.com, which is the world's biggest site for trend spotting and innovation. I'll give you a quick little background on how we work so that you'll understand when I'm telling you about how to become irresistible, why it's something I study so much. So at TrendHunter, we have 35,000 people all around the world, and when they find something cool, whether it's pop culture, design, marketing, fashion, food, business, advertising, they post it to their portfolios. And today we have a collection of about 80,000 micro trends and ideas. The really cool thing is that we've had 225 million views so far. And each of those views allows us to really see what's important so that we can try and look for the patterns and identify what are some of the emerging things that are really interesting of all these wonderful innovations on the edge. That's brought me to secret number 2. Secret number 2 is that you need to become irresistible to a specific group of people. And I'll show you what that means. How many people like vanilla ice cream? Yeah, vanilla ice cream's delicious. If we had some now, we'd all want it. And if you thought about yourself as a business manager in the wonderful world of ice cream, if you thought about going after that market, you'd realize vanilla is the biggest market. It's still growing, so it makes sense to go after it. But if you get someone to buy your vanilla ice cream, if how you sell your products is like vanilla ice cream, then people will leave you as easily as they come to you. In a time of economic uncertainty, they'll get the cheaper vanilla ice cream. But if you like Ben & Jerry's Cherry Garcia, if that's your favorite flavor, then there's no other ice cream that matters. There's nothing else that can substitute it. So when Ben & Jerry's launched Cherry Garcia in 1991, They were in the middle of a period of economic recession, world downturn. Despite love for Jerry Garcia, caused the company to quadruple in a downturn. And the reason is that they found a way to be irresistible to a specific group of people. Apply that to your world, and in times of downturn or upturn, they'll still be deciding to choose you. In the words of Jerry Garcia himself, you do not merely want to be the best of the best. You want to be considered one of the only people who does what you do. So specifically, what is it then that you do? If someone asks about your organization, its mission, its purpose, what's your answer? And no doubt you have an answer now, but as we go through the lessons today and we get towards the end, I want you to be thinking of how to concisely articulate that so that when people are choosing you or trying to understand you, they know why it's so important to pick your meeting. And that brings me to this lovely slide. Yesterday I was filling in for another keynote who couldn't make it, so I did show this slide to that group, so we're going to try this again. What's more important, culture or strategy? That giant Pac-Man always spoils it. Oh, well, you're right. It turns out that culture eats strategy for breakfast. And that sign actually comes from Ford's strategy war room. And Ford might not be your beacon of a cool company, but the reality is they found a way to survive, and the takeaway is it doesn't matter how good your strategy is or your PowerPoint slides. What really will take you the extra mile is the culture that you create at your events, the ability you have to connect with your customers, the culture on your team to make these big ideas actually happen. So secret number 3 is to obsess about creating a cultural connection. And when I say that, some of you are probably wondering, what is a cultural connection? Well, a cultural connection is the reason that people tattoo Harley Davidson to their head, even though it's a corporate logo. It's the reason people paint their houses with the Louis Vuitton pattern. It's the reason that ING customers will blog that they love ING and actually put stickers about ING on their car, even though ING is a bank. And the reason why is that when you make a cultural connection with your customers, or in your case, your attendees, they see you as part of their team. And that means when you talk and communicate with them, you're not speaking to them, you're speaking with them. And that's empowering. Now, I'll show you how Harley Davidson thinks about something like that. Someone asked a Harley exec, what is it that you sell? And this was his answer. He said, what we sell is the ability for a 43-year-old accountant to ride through small towns and have people be afraid of him. But it is this idea that a Harley Davidson, most would argue, is not even technologically superior, but it's everything else that makes it irresistible, that makes people, as we just saw, tattoo Harley onto their head. Put in a different way to rephrase this for our secret, the secret is that it's not the attainment of the summit, it's the style of the climb. Now this quote actually comes from Yves Chouinard, who is the founder of none other than Patagonia, which is a cult brand in the outdoor industry. And an interesting way that this quote was interpreted was that in its early days, he had to make a decision. They had a lot of orders, but he wanted to focus on the experience, the quality, the product, so they turned away orders. They stunted their growth for years until they could ensure that everyone had that perfect experience. And their note to shareholders was simply this: it's not the attainment of the summit, it is the style of the climb. Pretty cool. So I'm going to show you that same sort of concept in a different way. I'm going to show you the same content delivered 2 different ways. So here's our first video.
Here's a fellow who looks and feels like the top of the morning. That's because he's starting his day the Old Spice way. Old Spice Aftershave Lotion. The happiest ending a shave ever had. And it's good for your skin. Makes your face wake up. Tingles it to a clean, fresh feeling. Fresh as the spray of the surf. And you'll really like that good, tangy Old Spice scent. Bright and bracing as an ocean breeze.
Yeah, you will. And here's another way.
Hello, ladies. How are you? Fantastic. Does your man look like me? No. Can he smell like me? Yes. Should he use Old Spice body wash?
I don't know. Do you like the smell of adventure? Do you want a man who smells like he can bake you a gourmet cake in the dream kitchen he built for you with his own hands? Of course you do. Swan dive into the best night of your life. So ladies, should your man smell like an Old Spice man? You tell me.
Two messages delivered the same way. How I'm going to put this for you is presentation style is important. So when you think about the keynote speakers that you're actually booking, I've seen a lot of keynote speakers, and here's how I would sum everything up. There are a lot of best-selling authors, and there's also a lot of brilliant professors. Unfortunately, be careful, watch the videos, because there's also a lot of presenters that, to be kind, lack enthusiasm. And sometimes those things overlap, and then you get one of these. I've been to that meeting. So secret number 5 is simply don't book boringly brilliant people. Book keynotes that engage. And you can find that out by watching videos, listening to reviews, or attending other events. On that note, I've got this guy, and now we're going to go through 2 points, by the way, that are from MeetDifferent Cancun, because most of you were not there. So does anyone know who this guy is? Josh Bell. Yeah, that is correct. Josh Bell plays a $3.5 million Stradivarius violin. He's quite simply the best in the world, and he played the background in the red violin, and on stage, he makes $1,000 a minute. So we think of him as the best in the world. You can see why we'd want to have a concert with him. So the Washington Post did just that. You're a meeting planner, so let's say you have this concert as your planning responsibility. But they didn't want to announce it. They wanted it to be a surprise in the busiest metro hall they could find. They found a place to put their free concert where 1,000 people go by every hour. So your quiz question, and this is for those of you that were not in Cancun, is how many people will want to listen? Here's what happened. Josh Bell is the best in the world. When he's on stage, he makes $1,000 a minute. But when he's not packaged like he's the best in the world, just 7 people stop, and he makes a total of $35. Most of which came from one woman who recognized him and said, "Hey, will you be here again next week?" Portray your product as average, your event as average, and that's all that it will ever be. Instead, ask yourself how to portray your event as it is, the best in the world, to a specific group of people. So specifically, what is it then that you're trying to do? The same question that we asked in the very beginning. And as you think about how to market your idea, I want to tell you about Trend Hunter's rule number 1. At Trend Hunter, our rule number 1, with all our titles, with everything that we do, is to relentlessly obsess about your story. Now at Trend Hunter, every day we publish 100 articles or so. Most of them will get 1,000 or 2,000 views, but the best ones each day might get 50,000 views. And we've learned that word choice is critically important, so we study it every single day. And the way word choice matters online is the same as it does for word of mouth, because you're trying to get people to click on your stuff, to share it in Twitter, and all that wonderful viral action. So to give you a little example, when there's a politician that came about, I don't know if you've ever heard of her name. Her name was Sarah Palin. When Sarah Palin was announced as a candidate, someone wrote an article, and it was titled "Female Vice Presidents." And we published it, and it was getting some traffic, but I thought, that's not why people are searching for her. So as a test, which we often do, I made another article, but I titled mine "Hot Vice Presidents." Just one word different, right? The first one got 30,000 views, the second one got 1.1 million views, and was sourced by CNN, Fox, and the Associated Press. When you pick the right word choice, you make it easy for other people to share your information. When you give them your 7 words or less, or your 140 characters, when you articulate it, you empower word of mouth. So I'm going to show you then the framework that we use at Trend Hunter, and we apply all of our titles to this framework. We say that stories need to be simple, because simple messages supercharge word of mouth. You need to be direct. When you describe your event, don't be descriptive. Descriptive means you tell people what it's about. Direct means you tell them why they should choose you. And finally, you want to be supercharged. When you're supercharged, you pass the I have to tell someone test. Now, I'm going to give you a little example to show you what exactly this means. So here's a little burger that comes from my good friends in the front row at the Mandalay Bay Casino in Las Vegas. This burger is called the Fleur Burger. It's from the Fleur de Lis restaurant. And if you use traditional marketing, that's a perfect title because Fleur Burger conveys French cuisine, luxury, and it's a play on the title of the restaurant. But how many people here want to talk about the Fleur Burger and tell their friends? Not too many yet. If we put this in our framework, though, we might come up with this, the world's most expensive hamburger. The advertising team wouldn't like it, but it is simple and it is direct. It also has you a little bit more interested in it. But what if we called this what it is? This is a $5,000 hamburger. When you finish this, you should get a certificate for your wall that says, I ate a $5,000 hamburger. And next time people ask you or complain about an expensive entree, you're going to remember, how much was this burger? That message just stuck. Relentlessly obsess about your story. That brings me to the end of the lessons, although I've still got a video for you. If you're looking for more ideas, my book, Exploiting Chaos, has 150 different ways to spark innovation during times of change. It just won the Axiom Book Award, the Gold Medal for Success and Motivation, and a couple other things. But like I said, the real traction is it's half pictures, so you know it's good. And if you're looking for more of me, you can book a keynote or workshop with me. Usually I'm working in the wonderful world of innovation, but that for me means trend, strategy, marketing, and I've got a couple MPI gigs. Can I get a little love from Chicago over there? There we go. So I definitely love doing keynotes, and it's people like you that make it possible, so I'm very thankful for that. So to just before the conclusion, to sort of open your minds a little bit more, here are some interesting meeting ideas that are sparking curiosity throughout the world.
Conferences for kids, inflatable multimedia, and holograms. Today we hunt Meetings 2.0. Welcome to TrendHunter.tv. You hunt the trends, we put them on TV. Now, the top 10. At 10, if you know a high school kid who loves to go above and beyond, they may be interested in the TED Conferences for kids. These conferences give youthful high achievers the chance to learn just a little bit more about fascinating topics. At 9, the Twitter PowerPoint plugin is for presenters who love Twitter, crave more interactivity, and have a strong stomach for constructive criticism. The plugin allows the audience to tweet along with the PowerPoint presentation. At 8, how do you make a conference more memorable? How about housing it in a £25 million conference center and then giving an intricate look to behind the scenes? That's what the United Nations headquarters has done in Geneva. At 7, the newest form of corporate embarrassment is called PowerPoint karaoke. To play, you're blindsided with a deck of funny PowerPoint slides and graphs, and you wing your way through with clever dialogue and hilarity. At 8, bid farewell to the traditional pen and paper brainstorming sessions and say hello to the interactive brainstorming tables. These high-tech furniture pieces are a surefire way to spark ideas and get your creative juices flowing. At 5, companies will do anything to get more out of their employees, from bizarre office seating to whiteboard-walled capsules. Brainstorming in the office just got a whole lot more fun. At 4, keynotes, conferences, and meetings are getting a spherical makeover with the Puffosphere. This inflatable globe-shaped apparatus is a new and exciting way to present multimedia shows. At 3, the future of presentations may be headed towards greener technological pastures. The visionary multi-touch holograms make PowerPoint presentations look prehistoric. At 2, Creative DNA Australia realized that long commutes and inconvenient public transportation is enough to curb the hours of valuable conference and meeting time. This is why they've created this office bus that allows you to make a valuable use of your travel time. At number 1, hot for open office workspaces, is office furniture that gives you privacy without walls. Now you can have your own private meetings, and you also keep your open environment. Now for today's video of the day.
Now, I love my job, I really do, but I've decided that in my next life, I want to come back as a Google employee.
I work on the first floor, so one of the easiest ways down to the restaurant is actually down the slide. It's fairly steep and fairly fast, and it's not the most dignified way to enter a room, but it's great fun.
Many people move to Zurich just to work for Google, which means there's a lot of social activities. We have gone whitewater rafting, we go swimming in the lake during the summer, we go sailing. There's just a million types of activities, and somebody at the office is always planning something.
The biggest surprise for me at Google was the energy of people. People are extremely motivated, everyone has tons of ideas, and the next day they're built.
I'm Jeremy Gutsche, and I'm very thrilled you invited me to the Super Bowl of meetings, so thank you very much.